Good morning. It's 4:54 a.m. where I'm at. Uh, if you can't tell, I have a head cold. I apologize for my nasal. Um, but I figured if I can't sleep, I want to do some research on what's going on right now with this college football realignment. It's making the rounds everywhere. It's all over ESPN. It's all over Bleacher Report. It's pretty much everywhere. And I figure if I'm looking at it, somebody out there has got to be looking at it too. So I figure, hey, I'm putting together a spreadsheet. I have annual revenue for fiscal year 2019 before the pandemic hit, what you could expect for all the Power 5 conference schools. And I just wanted to show this because I think money is getting lost. I don't think you're hearing people talk about money enough. When you look at the Big 12, we know the Longhorns and Sooners are both going to the SEC. We know that. Look at the drop off in finances. Look at that. Oklahoma, $101 million. TCU, no disrespect, $61 million. You move these two schools over. The SEC is a super conference. There's no way the Big 12 can stand on its own. They've talked about different mergers they could do. There's different, the Big 10 and the ACC can run around. The Pac 12 can run around and try to grab some of these, TCUs of the worlds and, West Virginias of the worlds. And that very well may happen. I think that will happen definitely to a certain extent. But when you have a $1.3 billion conference in the SEC, and the Pac 12 alone is not even half that, the ACC, if they get Notre Dame, is a little over half the revenue of the SEC. Keep in mind, these conferences, they pay these teams to be in their conferences. They divvy out money. I believe the Big Ten was like $55 million a year just to be a part of their conference because you get the TV contracts and all that stuff. How much money is the SEC going to be able to give their schools? And I just want to point out the coincidence that this is all happening with this name and image likeness ruling coming down. And I remember a long time ago when I was in college, we were discussing these cases. And most schools that operate, they operate at a deficit if you take out football. So if these, at some point these schools are going to have to join other conferences, yes. But this is not fact. This is my opinion. I don't see how you have more than 3 major conferences of Power 5 schools. I don't see it. I do not see it. And the reason I don't see it is, yeah, you can merge the Big 12 and the Pac 12. You can do that. If you do that, your highest grossing school is going to be the Washington Huskies, and then the Oregon Ducks, and then the Utah Utes. By the way, I found it interesting. USC, $53 million. I thought it'd be a lot more than that. But that's besides the point. I just don't see how that works. The ACC, Florida State, Clemson, and then it goes down to $59 million at Miami. And I know money's not everything. Look what Central Florida's been doing. Well, look at the run that Boise State had. Look at these things. I understand that. But if you look at these figures, you can almost predict who's going to win a conference. The SEC. Georgia, Alabama, Auburn, LSU, Florida. They finished in the top 5 in the SEC. They're the top 5 highest grossing schools. The Big 10. Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, Nebraska, Wisconsin. Okay, Nebraska's been down for several years. Michigan's been down for several years. But they haven't been bad. And the conference has belonged practically to those other three schools. You look at the ACC. Who are the top two? Florida State and Clemson. Florida State's been down a couple years. Clemson has been dominant. The Miami Hurricanes, they've dropped off, but they've still been relevant. You have the Pac-12, Washington, Oregon, Utah. I mean, those are the best schools in that conference. This money translates. So what's that going to do for the SEC? Yeah, Texas has been down. Oklahoma's been good. You're going to have Georgia. You're going to have Alabama, Auburn, LSU, Florida. Now you have Oklahoma, Texas. I mean, the next best conference is the Big Ten. You either add schools to the Big Ten or the big schools from the Big Ten leave. And as an Ohio State fan myself, I've seen what Ohio State fans say. I know how Michigan fans feel. I know how a lot of Penn State fans feel, and I know how pretty much every Nebraska fan feels about the Big Ten right now. So I guess I made this video because I don't want to sit here and say what's going to happen. Because I don't know. Nobody does. But I think we need to follow the money. I think we need to watch the money. And I think we could play fantasy football with this as much as we want. But at the end of the day, it's going to have to make financial sense. We can talk about adding Cincinnati. We can talk about adding Central Florida. And if you go down, as a matter of fact, if you go down at the top grossing schools, look at this. Central Florida right here. They do make more than some of these schools that are in Power 5 conferences. There is a case for a school like Houston, who's been decent for a couple of years. Central Florida. Cincinnati has not made a lot, but I think that it's a school that has been growing. They're getting better, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them as a potential add for the Big Ten. There's a lot of different ways this could go. I just want people to be aware. Look at that money. And it's fun to talk about. It really is. I mean, you have now Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, Alabama, Auburn, LSU, Florida. How cool would that be? Albeit breaking tradition. How cool would it be if Ohio State and Michigan went to the ACC? And by the way, Ohio State and Michigan, neither one will move without the other. It's the same reason that Texas and Oklahoma went. Red River rivalry. They weren't going to break that up. But if they go to the ACC, all of a sudden the ACC they're up there. Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame, Clemson. But then the Big Ten's in dire straits. So there's a lot of ways that this could go. Now, what would really blow everyone's mind is if these reports are true and Michigan and Ohio State go to the SEC. Look at that. Then you do the calculations. Over $1.5 billion. The rest of college football makes what? A little over 2? This is your super conference, people. That's your super conference. And from there, what do you do with the college football playoff? How does this affect recruiting? If you have a conference that's given out how much more money to schools than the rest of college football, and you're looking at schools that are already recruiting well: Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, LSU. What recruit is going to go play, again, no disrespect, for Florida State in the ACC when they can go to an SEC school and make a lot more money just because of the fans? Because what does big money indicate? It indicates a big number of fans. What do fans pay? Money. What do they pay for? Autographs, appearances. So you're gonna have a monopoly if we end up with a major conference like that. That's all I'm saying. I just want people to pay attention to these things, because these are things that it's gonna change college football forever. It'll never be the same as we've known it. Okay? I know I've kind of rambled here. Let me know what you think. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of things coming down the path that we need to pay attention to, and I think it all starts with money. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.